YouTube friends. This is a question I have been getting a lot of from my truck driving friends. This is a question I also had when I got into vaping. And I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to get into reviews. I'm not going to start taking stuff apart. As I'm doing this on my cell phone from the driver's seat of my truck, currently sitting in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So anyway, the question I get, and the one I had the most when I started getting into the larger mods and the larger tanks, was what wattage setting do I put it at for the coil I have? And when I got into it, everyone had an opinion. I was searching on forums, Google. There was wattage charts, voltage charts. I mean, just a whole mess of information that got me confused. Until one day, I went into a local vape shop called Smokes on State Street in Boston, Wisconsin. And I wanted to try a different coil for this tank I have, which is the Atlantis V2. And I asked the same question again. What wattage setting do these coils need to be at? And the nice lady behind the counter gave me the answer. 40 to 50 watts. I asked her, how do you know? And very simple answer, it's on the coil. So what do you mean it's on the coil? I never bothered to look closely at a coil before, and maybe neither of any of you have before either. You probably will now. On the coil, there is numbers and words printed on them to me, which were gibberish that I never bothered reading. Besides the ohm rating, which that I knew, they usually are 0.3s, 0.5s. This is a 1.0. Below that, in really small print, is the wattage rating. Now, everyone's opinion is what they think you should use it at, because what works for them. Like anything you do, cooking a pizza, next time you look at a box of frozen pizza, it'll say turn the oven to, 400 to 425 degrees. If you work on automobiles and you have a service manual, there are torque specs anywhere between, 50 to 65 foot-pounds. Same thing with these coils. The wattage rating is printed on the coils, and that's what you should go by. If you want your coils to last, perform well, go by the manufacturer's recommendations. Since this coil is printed on here 40 to 50 watts, I have my mod set to 40 to 50 watts. Alright, it's actually set at 40 right now. There you go, 40 watts. Another thing that was very confusing to me, I learned real quick, is ignore all the rest of the numbers for now. That is the only number you need to worry about, is your wattage. So, the other information is good. Like here, it gives you a basic, when I screw my tank onto this mod, it will read what my ohms are for that coil. So, just in case I forget for some reason, I guess, it gives you a guideline of where your wattage should be. And again, it is printed on the coils. So go with the manufacturer's recommendations. Now that you know your ohms, which this is a 1.0, but I guess it's reading 1.04, close enough, and I know the wattage recommendations is 40 to 50 watts. The next thing that took me a while to figure out how to do is where to set it within that recommendation. The way I do it coils at room temperature, primed. You don't know how to prime a coil, most every vape shop will show you how to do that. It's very simple. Primed, tank full of juice, your wattage setting at the lowest setting for the recommendation. I believe some coils are 20 to 30 watts recommended. Some are 70 to 80. Always start at the low end. Since this is 40 to 50, I started at 40. Simple enough. I do 3 to 4 hits on this mod. Now, just about every mod with a screen like this has a timer on it. I have found my vapes are about 2 seconds to 2.5 seconds every time. Now, I would do a vape and try to show you on camera, but the number disappears too quick. So where it will be on this is right in the middle, right where it says voltage. I'll do a quick little thing, and if you watch, it'll change the seconds if I can get this damn thing to focus. So here we go. There's a half second right there. So I found I do 3 to 4 vapes, and I'm about 2 seconds every single time dead on. See how the flavor is, see how the temperature is for you. And I know this is a temperature control mod, but I'm not on temperature control, and that's something I won't get into right now. This is for the beginner. So this is your standard coil, 3 to 4 times, about the same amount of time every time. See how it feels. You know, is the taste weak? Is it too strong? You know, figure out where you like it. Now, if it's too weak, go up by, I don't know. I've gone up by 2 watts. I'll let the coil cool down all the way, because now the tank will start getting hot. The coil's been heated numerous times. The juice is getting hot. You want it to be consistent when you're figuring out your baseline. Let everything cool down for a couple minutes. Bump it up. Keep going. Don't like it. Bump it up some more. Bump it up some more till you get it where you like it. And you don't want to go any higher than the wattage recommendations. You can go lower if it's too strong, because some juices are very harsh on the throat. But again, try to stay within that recommendation range. Mine, depending on the juice, I usually leave it right at 40. That's more than enough for me. Again, I won't get into why the cooling effects of this tank, but try to keep everything consistent and the same every time you do it. Trying to think, was there anything else on my mind? Coil changing. I've had this coil about 2 weeks. That's another question. How often should I change my coils? I guess a good rule of thumb, and I go through a lot of juice because I did this to quit smoking. And I've had this coil 2 weeks, and it still performs great. I don't get a burnt taste. I get a good vape still. You'll basically know when your coils are going. You won't get the vapor as much. You'll get a really crappy taste, especially if you're using the same juice and know what it should taste like. But going on 2 weeks, I should probably change it. Since I don't have any more coils, I'm going to try to get the temperature control ones and dive into that world a little more, because that's completely new to me still. But that's why I got this, for the temperature control function. Again, I vape a lot, and I want something that's easy on the throat, something that's going to perform and last a while. So this is what I got. Hopefully these tips will help you. It's about the most basic way I can teach someone. Stop listening to what everyone else tells you. One person's going to tell you one number. The next person's going to tell you crank it up to high hell. and look at the great cloud I got. Well, that's great if you're trying to show off. Fine. Manufacturer's recommendations on the coil. One of the biggest keys is prime your coil properly so you don't burn one out. Use a good quality juice. Another thing about juice, being a trucker, truck stops are now starting to sell juice in vape kits. Do not buy that crappy ass tiny little bottles of juice from the truck stop. I don't know who makes it. I don't know what they did to it, but it is about the most disgusting stuff I have ever used, and it's just as expensive. Find a local vape shop if you're in town. Buy a couple bottles at a time, or go to some online shop. I don't know, like myvapestore.com or Vapor Shark, or I forget who else there is. Element Vape. I actually got this mod on myvapestore.com. Don't buy that truck stop crap. I can tell you it's disgusting, and I've had a sore throat more times than I can count using that stuff. I wish the truck stops wouldn't even sell it anymore because it's just crap. Anyway, I hope these tips helped you, get you on your feet and running. Again, don't get overwhelmed with so much information. I'm telling you, the most basic, simple way to do things is manufacturer's recommendation is where you should start. The rest will come with time. Different juices will have different strengths, different flavors. You have your guidelines to work between. That's all you need to know, really. Vape time, how long of a hit you get, how long you hold that button, again, what kind of juice you're using. I believe higher nicotine levels will be a little harsher on the throat. So if you're constantly changing juices, constantly changing nicotine levels, it's going to be different every time. But one of the most consistent things you can do is stick with the same coil. That will give you a good baseline. That's about all I got. Hopefully these tips help you. And have a great day, everyone. Be safe.